It is important to keep your mind sharp because as we age, the higher the possibility of memory deterioration. And that is why I'm talking about keeping your mind sharp. Hi guys! Hi everyone, my name is Onyinye Favor and I'm here once again on the Repositioning Podcast to talk about something really important and something that is definitely going to be beneficial to you. Have you subscribed to my channel? If you have not, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go subscribe to my channel. Click the subscribe button, click the notification bell so that you get notified when a video drops. Alrighty, let's get right into what we have for today. Today we are talking about keeping your mind sharp. I read an article from Harvard Medical School and they listed a number of things that are very necessary as an essential to keep your mind sharp. And I thought to share it with you how or the tips that you need to keep your mind sharp. Number one is keep learning. Learn. The more you keep learning, the higher the chances of keeping your brain in order, putting your mind in order, ensuring that you are remembering the very little details. When you want to learn, in short, the truth is people whose jobs have a lot of mental thinking, creativity to do, they are always at a higher chance of keeping their mind sharp, like higher chance of risking memory deterioration, memory loss, and all of those things. If you want to keep your mind sharp, if you don't have to do it because of the nature of your job, you have to then learn as a way of personal, intentional effort to keep your mind sharp. And you can do that from learning things. Learn things that will rack your brain, that will make you go dive into a lot of mental activity, if you get what I mean. So yeah, keep learning. Number two, use all your senses. This is very important. As much as learning is important, the chances of retaining your memory or sharpening your mind is higher when you use all your senses to learn. Now, I'll give an example. So, for instance, you have to do like a soap learning. For instance, somebody who is a soap expert, who is an expert in soap making, and you want to learn how to make soaps, and the person is, teaching you and guiding you through the processes of making soap, the ingredients you have to add at what stage and whatnot. Now, while you are looking at what the person is doing, when you can perceive what the person is, adding, for instance, the first chemical is added, you perceive what it smells like. Maybe the next one they look the same, but they smell different. And then the last one may be a fragrance or something. When you have to do that thing yourself, most times you're not going to remember it just because of their color, especially if different ingredients look the same. You will remember it most likely because of how they smell, what they smell like. So yeah, that's about using your senses. The chances of remembering something, the chances of sharpening your mind is higher when you use all your senses to learn. And number three, I want to talk about just using your brain for the really important things. Now, what this means is that we have technology all around us, even our smartphone. We have it all around us. You have a reminder on your smartphone. You can even use the notes section on your smartphone to remind you of the little things like where you kept your keys, the chores you have to do, the meetings you have to attend. Little things like your keys and your chores, everything you have to do, you can remember them by using your smartphone reminders or even writing them down. So keep your brain or concentrate on using your brain for the really important things, like learning new things or things that are really taxing. Save your brain use, if I must use that line, for taxes like that. instead of channeling it to, maybe you can't remember where you kept your keys, you can't remember where you kept your clothes or something, and then you're racking your brain, and it just doesn't make sense. So use the things around you to remember the little stuff, and then use your brain for the really important things like learning new things. So yes, that's about that. And then number 4, repeat what you want to know. For things you want to know, repeating them, saying it loud, can help you remember those things. So for instance, you just met someone and then you want to remember their name. He tells you his name or her name, and then a good way to remember the name is by saying it out loud. Okay, you're asking the person questions and then you say, oh, hi John, or hi Danny, what's going on? Or you ask your question. Like for instance, in my own case, I once visited, or I once had the opportunity of teaching a group of kids who I was just meeting for the first time, and there were a lot just at my face like that. When you have to meet like 10, 15 kids at once, and you have to remember, I'm sure they always want you to remember their names. So this was sort of a strategy I used to remember their names. So usually when they all introduce themselves, maybe at the first time when we had classes, introduce yourself. So in that introduction, I might not remember their name. So what I do is, when I ask a question in the process of teaching, I tell them, before you answer my question, repeat your name again. And when they do that, I then repeat their name and then ask them the question again. So if I had gone to the class and then there's a student or there's a kid called Damilola, and then I said, and then I tell her to stand up, and then she says, hi, my name is Dami. And then I say, oh yes, Dami, this is the question. What is this? What is that? Do you understand? So saying it out loud will help you remember things. So repeat what you want to know. And then finally, space it out. Now, as much as repeating what you want to know is important, repeating them within a short period, like trying to cram them, will not help your memory. If anything, it will make you forget what you have to do. So space out your remembering period. So for instance, you have an exam to study, you have an exam to write, and you have to study for that exam. The ideal thing to remember what it is you studied, to be able to write the exam efficiently, is reading within a few hours, dropping it, coming back to it for another hour, and then maybe reading consistently every day, making it part of your routine, reading every day. That way, it stays in your memory, as opposed to trying to cram all the things you need to do in one day and then enter the exam hall. I assure you, you will forget it. I mean, you might remember during the exam, but once you drop that pen, everything is flying away. You won't remember anything. So if you really want to read to remember later on, if you're not just reading just for the exam's sake, which I don't advise, read consistently every now and again. That way it will stay in your memory. So space out your reading. Don't just try to cram everything and jam your brain with a lot of information all at once. So yes, that's it. So for this video, I want to recap on these things that are necessary to keep your mind sharp. Number 1, which is keep learning. Make sure you're learning something every day. Try to learn new things. Number 2 would be using all your senses to learn. You're always at a higher advantage when you use all your senses to learn, to remember those things that you're learning, than opposed to just using one sense, maybe your sight or something. So yeah, that's it about using your senses. And then number 3, I talked about always ensuring that you use your brain for the really important things. Use your brain for the really important things. We have smartphones around us every now and again. We have a lot of things at our disposal to help us remember the really little stuff. So why not make use of that and then use your brain for what is really important, like trying to learn new things, for the really mentally taxing activity. Yes. And then number 4, I talked about repeating what you want to know. Repeat it out loud, what you want to know. And number 5, space it out. Don't just cram everything or try to jam your brain with a lot of information all at once in the name of repeating what you know, but space it out. Give it a few hours, give it a few days, and even consistently doing it every day. Space out what you need to know. Yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're still watching this video till this point, list one of the things or one of the tips I mentioned about keeping your brain or your mind sharp. Thank you, guys. Bye.